So I thought I'd start out first of all and just give you a real sense of the project that we've got here at Green Bay Copper Gold Project in Newfoundland, and I'll spend most of the presentation today talking about that. Hopefully you can walk away today thinking about grade and scale. It's pretty rare for projects to have both of those elements to them, and so what I've got on the page here is literally a selection of drill results that we've been putting out over the last few months. And from that you can see some very high-grade copper zones, some very high-grade gold zones, and very big, broad, wide copper zones as well. So this project really does have scale, and it really does have grade as well. And it's nice to reflect as well, it was only 9 months ago when we acquired this project, and it was in January of this year that we had our first drill rig on site. We've ramped that up from 1 to 2 rigs. We now have 3 rigs, and there's a 4th rig turning as of yesterday as well. So we really are ramping things up. So you'll see a lot more of these types of drill results coming out over the next few months. This is all on the ASX platform. Read the disclaimers and forward-looking statements in your own time. So we'll focus all about our Green Bay Copper Gold Project. As I said, it's a recent acquisition for us. It is a big, large resource. It's almost 40 million tonnes of contained copper there at a good grade of 1.8% copper and half a gram gold credit. For just under 1 million tonnes of contained copper. We're pretty lucky in the fact the purchase price also came with nearly $250 million worth of sunken infrastructure costs there as well. So we have a shaft, a decline, hydropower running over the property, a processing plant there, and of course this is all on granted mining licences, operational mining licences, and I'll talk about that shortly. We're well cashed up with almost $40 million in the bank as of just the other day, so this will get us through all the way through to mid to late next year with our drill plan. And as I said, we've kicked off a 4 drill rig program with 100,000 metres planned over the next 6 to 12 months. And what you'll see with that is resource growth as well as discovery drilling as well on this project, and show this project has real scale to it. We also have another project called the Pickle Crow Gold Project. It's a very large, high-grade gold project in Ontario, almost 3 million ounces of gold at a pretty impressive 7 grams per tonne. It sticks out from surface and goes down to about 600 metres below surface. You will see us working on that later this year, and a way for us to monetise that and create value for our shareholders with that as well. A quick snapshot of the company. It's strongly institutional. Half of those institutions come from North America and Europe, and half down here in Australia. We have very good liquidity in the stock as well, lots of shares traded. Good cash position. We're backed by a number of very good broking firms and banking firms as well, with research out there globally on us. Management has a large stake in the company as well, and has backed this in placements the whole way through with the company as well. And probably one of the real takeaways on this when we go through the presentation is that there is no offtake, there's no streaming, there's no royalties, and there's no debt associated with this project or the company. So that in its own right will be a huge value add for the business. It's a team of people that have done it before. We have our independent chair, Kevin Tomlinson, who's based up in Canada, and being a Canadian project, that's super important for us. We also have Jesse Lewernstein, who's joined us recently, based in Toronto, mining engineer, worked with Hudbay and the likes as well, with background in copper. And Renee Roberts just joined us recently as well, an independent, and her background is corporate governance and risk as well. So obviously crucial as we go to the next stage of getting the project up and running. Mike Naylor is Executive Director with me there, and one of the founders of Bellevue Gold, and founder with us at FireFly Metals. And of course Darren Cook, who's a really important part of our business, and has a huge background here in Kalgoorlie with Barrick and Northern Star and the Super Pit before that. So we'll take a little look at Newfoundland and the project, and give you a bit of a feel for where we are and what we're doing. So nice to get a bit of a feel for where we are, and we'll dive down a little bit more into it in a second. So I thought this slide is quite a good one to sort of see where we sit compared to other copper producers on the ASX platform. So this is all the last 12-month data that's out there on the ASX for all ASX-listed copper producers and their attributable amount of copper that they actually produce. And of course, you've got all the really big majors on the right-hand side producing over 100,000 tonne of copper per operation. And then, of course, you know, it sort of drops away after that, and even the mid-caps are sort of around that 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 tonne of copper. So you're going to take away from this project and realise at the end of the presentation that, you know, our project is going to be upscaled. It's going to be producing a lot more copper than what it was doing in the past, which is around about 15,000 tonne. And our goal is to be having it up around that sort of 40, 50,000 tonne of contained copper produced annually as well with a gold credit. And I'll walk you through how we're going to get there shortly. Another interesting comparison when you look at the Green Bay Copper Gold Project and when you compare them to, say, a couple of Australian producers and also a North American producer as well. And obviously a few people be familiar with the Cobar and Ernest Henry projects. And I guess probably the takeaways on this slide, the real takeaways is the contained copper. And so you can see here at Green Bay we already have a substantial copper resource there compared to the other two Australian ones. And then probably the other takeaway on this as well is that all that sunk infrastructure that's there ready to go. So, you know, shaft, decline, operational equipment all ready to go, which really does step us apart. And probably the third aspect on the comparison when you look at this is obviously, you know, it was a very, very low cost acquisition for us of only 65 million Australian dollars to acquire the project. And obviously projects like this with this sort of scale are normally bought for much, much more than 65 million. And remembering there is no offtake, there is no stream, and there's no royalties or debt associated with this whatsoever. So we'll dive in and have a little bit of a closer look at Green Bay Copper Gold Project. We own it 100%. And what I like to say is that it's already got the base load there. So, you know, we have a large drill program happening at the moment, all about growth and discovery. But if we didn't find one more, you know, tonne of copper, it's irrelevant because we already have almost 1 million tonnes of contained copper and gold there. As I said, you know, it's fully granted mining permits. We can start operating today if we wanted to. We have a skilled workforce all ready to go around town and around the site as well. And importantly, we have low-cost hydro power running over the property as well. And this is about 6 cents a kilowatt hour, which is very, very cheap compared to a lot of the operations globally. And this infrastructure that we have there is a huge step up for us. You know, it's $250 million worth of shaft, decline, processing plant, and of course deepwater port that you saw in the video as well that can take out 1 million tonnes of concentrate per annum, which is well more than what we'll ever need on the project. So it's a real simple game plan for us. It's extend that resource. It's about adding the high-grade load as well as the big, broad footwall load as well, which I'll show you about shortly. And it's also about discoveries as well on the project. And the really nice thing about this as well is, you know, we'll be talking in this presentation all about the mine itself, but we do own the entire volcaniclastic sedimentary sequence in the district as well, and typically VMS mineralised systems come in clusters. So I'd like to think that, you know, what we've found so far is only the start of what could be a large-scale, long-life mine there. So we've kicked off. The 100,000 metre program is well and truly underway. There's 4 drill rigs turning. We have a jumbo team operating underground, putting in drill platforms for us. There'll be a resource update coming out in a month or two, which will be after the first 6 months of drilling that we've done on the property. The next resource will come out in early to mid next year for the next 6 months worth of drilling as well. And of course, kicking off all that regional exploration work as well, looking for new discoveries. So we'll come in and have a look at Newfoundland and the project itself. It really is a great jurisdiction. So, you know, it's very pro-mining. It's a Tier 1 jurisdiction rated by the Fraser Institute. And, you know, 32% of its GDP comes from mining. So it's somewhere in between Western Australia and South Australia when it comes to, you know, mining and investment. A big, you know, mining sector with a lot of FIFO workers ready to go nearby as well. So we'll have a little look at the project itself. It's easy to get to. We fly into a town called Deer Lake, and there's 30 flights a day in and out of there, and then up the Trans-Canada Highway to our property. We operate at 365 days a year. There's two big land holdings that we have there. The bulk of it and the mine is at the Ming mine itself. So as I said, we have a processing plant there already, 500,000 tonne per annum. It produced 28 to 30% concentrate, very, very good copper product. We will be looking to upscale the processing ultimately to bring it up to a much larger copper production than what it was previously doing. So all the infrastructure is there for us, surface works and the likes, and the hydropower running over the property, as I said, which of course will be crucial for a low-cost operation. And when you look underground, there's two main parts to the ore body. There's a very high-grade copper and gold VMS lode that sits at the top, marked up in yellow there, and then a big, broad footwall zone. And this is about 1.2 kilometres in strike. It starts from 200 metres below surface and goes down to about 1 kilometre below surface and is very much open, and that's where the bulk of the resource sits. So all this infrastructure is crucial. That shaft on a 6 metre by 3 metre shaft down to 630 metres depth and 5.5 by 5.5 metre development and declines as well. And at the bottom we're putting in this exploration drill drive, and that for us is where the bulk of the drilling will be happening and the resource extension drilling that'll be going on. When you look at the high-grade VMS lodes, these are a series of very high-grade zones. They typically are about 100 metres wide and 25 metres in width, and they strike very continuously for about 800 metres to 1 kilometre in strike length with some really good high-grade copper and gold zones. And then sitting below it is this big, broad footwall zone, stringer zone, and you'll see here, typically sort of, 40, 50, 60 metre wide zones going at, 2-3% copper with less gold in it. And this has all been drilled out into measured and indicated categories, so very, very well understood ore bodies sitting there ready to go. So we're adding on to those resources at the moment. We've put in 800 metres of underground development with our jumbo team, marked up in green there. And that's enabled 4 drill platforms with the 4 drill rigs turning and 100,000 metres of drilling, and that will extend the resources down dip as well as down plunge, and also testing and targeting for the high-grade VMS lodes as well as the big broad footwall lode as well. So you will see lots of results coming out over the next little while. We've typically been putting results out once every 4 weeks. That will be ramping up now with the extra drill rigs on site. And you can see from the drilling that we've had to date that we're well on track for having that updated resource out for this last 6 months of drilling out in the next month or two. And we're looking forward to putting that out to the market. So the area marked up in blue, it's about a 400-500 metre step out from the current resource. That's where the resource update will be coming from. And then after that, as I said, another 6 months later, you'll see another resource statement coming out with, again, increasing down dip and down plunge of the high grade and big broad footwall zones, as well as hopefully coming up with some discovery work as well. So we're undertaking geophysics on the property, which is the first time anyone's done this for about 20 years. We're looking for repeat structures, parallel lodes and feeder zones as well. So if hopefully we'll be having a little bit of luck on that, and that has kicked off, and we're looking forward to updating the market on the success of that in the next few weeks. So it's not just about discovery and growth around the headframe and all the infrastructure there. You've got to remember we own the entire volcanoclastic sequence there. It's a very large land holding. We're hitting it at the moment with Aeromag, with VTEM and regional work as well. So you'll see some news flow coming out on the regional targets in the next few weeks or so. So this hasn't changed. Our time frame from when we acquired the project in October last year and when we started drilling in January of this year, 4 drill rigs turning, plenty of news flow, resource update coming out, as I said, in a month or two, followed by a second one coming out in April next year or so, followed by an updated, upscaled study to show a much larger operation at site. So you can see why we're pretty excited by our Green Bay copper gold project. Plenty of copper, plenty of gold. The resource is very much open, high grade, and our game plan is very much about spending that $38 million on drilling and extending the resource and creating value for shareholders with growth with the drill bit. So thanks for your time.
There's a lot of material there, Steve. Have we got any questions in the auditorium? If not, maybe make sure you take a look at some of those relative value charts in that deck. Pretty significant opportunity there by the looks of it, Steve. So maybe one from me just to wrap it up. Could you just talk about Pickle Crow, what the plans are there and how you'll realise value potentially?
Yeah, so Pickle Crow being almost 3 million ounces of gold at 7 grams per tonne, it would be one of the largest, highest grade undeveloped gold projects in the world, I'd say, in a tier 1 jurisdiction. As I said, it sticks out from surface down to about 600 metres depth. It needs to be drilled out, and so our view is that we will be able to find a partner or a sales process which we'll be undertaking in the next few months on that, and looking at a way for us to be able to help fund Green Bay into the next stage. So yeah, we expect to hopefully create value for shareholders very, very soon on that.